Welcome to Live, life-inspired views for every day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. I'm hoping most of you who are listening to this podcast have seen the classic movie National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, in which the main character, Clark Griswold, played by Chevy Chase, is determined to host the best, most traditional and memorable Griswold family Christmas. As you can imagine, instead of a week of nostalgic memory making, it is just one fiasco after the other. However, in the final scene, all comes together and Clark says triumphantly, "We did it." Well, our family kind of lived that scenario last week. Our son Andrew and his family arrived from Seattle to spend the week and celebrate our 2-year-old grandson Arva's first memory-making Christmas in Iowa. It started out perfect. But we ended up with 2 cases of influenza, 1 case of stomach flu, laryngitis, a clogged bathtub, a 3-day blizzard, and half the family separated by flu, snow, and wind for 5 days. Well, you get the picture. But despite these uninvited events, we had the most memorable, nostalgic, and wonderful time together because we chose to. We chose not to let those events control the joy we yearn to experience being together for this important holiday. There were disappointments, and we spent time talking about them and accepting that we could not deny that we had those feelings, but we determined not to give them control over our joy. I think I know, and I know, we succeeded. We could say, as Clark Griswold uttered in the finale of his famous week, "We did it." At the beginning of November, 2 Buena Vista University colleagues and I presented a session on toxic positivity in the workplace for a conference. We addressed how forcing positivity can be damaging to workplace environments, relationships, and culture. So this last week, during the Meyer family Christmas, we talked about that concept in reference to all the things that were becoming unhinged from the idyllic Christmas experience we had all imagined would be. The underlying questions were these. Is it wrong to be disappointed and sad about the turn of events? Is it being toxic to look at the bright side and make it into a positive time somehow? And ultimately, how do we formulate a healthy response? In a publication I received daily called The Daily Stoic, I read about Christmas Day 1776, when George Washington faced one of the most difficult moments in his life. The revolution was at a very low state. His soldiers were freezing, hungry, and wounded, and tired. Many did not have proper boots to wear and were now faced with crossing the Delaware River in a daring gamble to surprise the British. At such a low moment, many must have questioned, how had it become so bad? Why were they being faced with such poor luck? Why were they suffering so? However, Washington did not put time and effort into those kinds of questions. On that Christmas Day, he wrote a letter to Robert Morris stating, "It is in vain to ruminate upon or even reflect upon the authors or causes of our present misfortunes. We must rather exert ourselves." In our terms, he was saying, I don't ruminate over what has happened, but focus on how we respond. In essence, it really doesn't matter what has happened to you. What matters is what you will do next. Washington did focus on how he would respond and led the troops forward to success, which turned the tide of the Revolutionary War and secured the future of a new nation. This Christmas, we chose to focus on how we would respond, and it changed everything. We adapted, we laughed about it, we reflected, and we just soaked up the present moments we had together. Our son even had a Clark Griswold moment, getting lost in the storeroom of memories as he explored the old boxes of his toys. My sisters were curious as to how I might use our last week's crazy Christmas experience in my podcast. How should I respond to them? But as I pondered, I came to realize that the magic of the week lay in our response to the adverse experiences we faced. As my hero Viktor Frankl said, Everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Every moment is a new beginning. So, as we go forward into a new year, into a new day, into a new hour, always have ready this question: how best should I respond? Put that on your bathroom mirror. Join me next Monday for Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.